think China's just growing much more slowly than we've been used to.
There's a worry that China's economy might have problems, like a big financial crisis. People from all over the world were watching and waiting, excited and scared, to see what would happen to China's economy. It's like a story with a lot of twists and turns about the challenges and unknown things in China's economy. The saga begins with GDP figures for the second quarter of 2023. A casual glance at the numbers might make one think all is well, with China's economy boasting 6.3% growth compared to the previous year. However, there's more than meets the eye. In the land where expectations runs high, this was a slower pace than anticipated. We find that the economic figures are somewhat like a beautifully wrapped box with an unexpected gift inside. For instance, a slower growth rate may appear as a cloud in a clear sky, but the situation is complex. The 6.3% growth is shrouded in nuances. The figure's apparent splendor is tarnished by the fact that the year-on-year comparison was positively skewed by a low base in 2022. During this period, Chinese cities like Shanghai were under strict lockdown measures. Consequently, the robust 6.3% growth is a result of comparing against a dismal 2022 figure. In the economy's tale, we encounter an interesting twist, a paltry 0.8% growth in the second quarter when compared to the preceding 3 months. Annualized, this rate is a mere 3.2%, which makes us ponder the true strength of the Chinese economic dragon. The picture becomes murkier when we consider the state of China's debt. As we progress through the gripping narrative, the looming shadow of debt takes center stage. China's total debt to GDP ratio surged a staggering 279% in the first quarter of 2023. However, some suggest this as an understatement, as other data sources imply that China's total debt, including government and state-owned companies, may have already soared to nearly 300% of the country's GDP as of 2022. It seems that over the years, the debt drama in the Chinese economy has been building up, one scene at a time. A result of excessive investment in property and infrastructure, coupled with plummeting demand and soaring prices, sets the stage for a nail-biting showdown. The dragon story takes us back to the pandemic. The early signs of structural gaps in China's economics were visible, but in its quest for economic growth, China took calculated risks that didn't pay off. In 2020, it was the only economy to record growth. The world marveled as China boasted a 2.3% expansion. In 2021, it bounced back with an impressive 8.45% GDP growth. Yet, in 2022, the economic growth showed a significant slump to just 2.9%. The dragon, it seemed, is not invincible. The year 2023 paints a similar gloomy outlook. Leading global ratings agencies and financial institutions have started downgrading China's growth prospects. Barclays, for instance, slashed China's 2023 GDP growth forecast to a mere 4.5%. JP Morgan, Nomura, and a host of others joined the chorus of doomsayers. They cite structural risks to growth and the overarching influences of global slowdown. As the whole drama unfolds, there are whispers that China's 4-decade-long reign of glory may be approaching its final act. If China fails to achieve a full-year GDP growth of 5%, it might be a devastating blow, signaling the possible end of an era. In the tale of China's economic paradox, it is essential to pay heed on what's been dubbed the bad news show. The past 6 months has been filled with less than rosy headlines, a stalling growth rate, record youth unemployment, diminished foreign investment, sagging export and currency, and a property market teetering on the edge of collapse. United States President Joe Biden himself warned that China's economy is akin to a ticking time bomb, predicting a wave of discontent and potential chaos within the country. A stark assertion indeed. China's leader, Xi Jinping, swiftly countered, proclaiming the economy's strong resilience, tremendous potential, and great vitality. Yet, as with many things in life, the truth often lies somewhere in between. While an impending economic implosion is unlikely, there's no denying that China is grappling with profound, deeply rooted challenges. At the heart of China's economic turbulence lies its property market. For years, the property sector has been the cornerstone of China's wealth, accounting for roughly 1/3 of the nation's total wealth. However, the story took an unexpected turn in 2020 when a global pandemic and a shrinking domestic population collided with the property market doom. Amid these unfavorable conditions, the Chinese government took steps to limit how much developers could borrow, leaving them buried in unpaid debt. Consequently, demand for houses dwindled, property prices plummeted, and millions of Chinese homeowners emerged from a challenging period of COVID-19 restrictions, only to find their wealth eroded. Unlike in many Western countries, China's citizens view properties as their primary form of saving. When the value of their homes declined, they clung to their cash reserves, quashing hopes for a post-pandemic spending spree. This predicament has consequences far beyond individuals' households. It has intensified the debt woes for local governments. Over a third of their substantial revenues come from selling land to developers. Now, with the property sectors in turmoil, these revenues have dried up. Experts predict that it will take several years for the property market to regain its footing, leaving local governments in a precarious financial state. The property crisis casts a spotlight on the structural issues within China's economic model. For decades, China's remarkable growth was driven by massive construction projects, from infrastructures like roads, bridges, and airports to housing. Local governments played a pivotal role in these developments. However, some economists argue that this construction-centric approach is reaching its limit. There's only so much China can build before it becomes wasteful and counterproductive. To reignite economic growth, China must embark on significant structural and institutional reforms. For instance, if China desires a financial sector that rivals that of the United States or Europe, it would need to loosen regulations, granting more power to private interests. Yet, the recent trends indicate the tightening of government control over the financial sectors, admonizing westernized bankers for their lavish lifestyle and cracking down on major technology firms like Alibaba. An inflexible, centralized economy struggles to accommodate the millions of well-educated graduates searching for white-collar jobs in urban areas. As of July, the youth unemployment rate in China hit a record high of 21.3%. This highlights the challenges of absorbing a high number of educated individuals into workplace within a rigid, top-down economic system. A shift in economic direction requires the corresponding changes in political ideology. However, with President Xi Jinping tightening his grip on the Chinese Communist Party (CCP) and the country's overall life, the prospects of substantial change seems dim. China's leadership may argue that a shift is not even necessary. This leads to a paradox of China's current situation. While the country's economic growth has slowed, it remains much higher than most Western economies. China's leadership appears content with a less consumerist and more security-focused approach to growth. Investment in cutting-edge industries like semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and green technology aim to bolster global competitiveness and reduce reliance on foreign partners. The leadership's measured response to the faltering economy, with minor adjustment around the edges rather than massive stimulus packages, reveals that they are playing the long game. As we examine the situation closely, one undeniable truth emerges: China is at its pivotal juncture in its economic journey. The balance of power, wealth, and influence is shifting before our very eyes. The challenges that China faces are unprecedented. Its property market crisis has a profound impact on households, local governments, and overall economic landscape. The shift away from an infrastructure-focused growth model is both a necessity and a daunting task. President Xi Jinping's vision for China's future is one of self-reliance and security. The government's measured response to economic challenges and its focus on cutting-edge industries demonstrate its commitment to long-term global competitiveness. Yet, it is a path that necessitates control and influence. The Xi administration's tightening grip on the Chinese Communist Party and Chinese society has raised questions about the cause of their approach. As the economy falters and millions of well-educated youth grapple with unemployment, the prospect of social unrest looms on the horizon. Remember, it's here that we must address the specter of the ticking time bomb. President Joe Biden's stark warning of a potential economic explosion in China is a speculation at this point. While the Chinese leadership comprehends the gravity of its economic challenges, the path forward remains uncertain. The economic policies and political ideologies that have served China well for decades may no longer suffice. Structural and institutional reforms are essential to address the current predicament fully. Loosening regulations and empowering the private sectors might be the path to economic rejuvenation. If you found this video informative and engaging, don't forget to show your support. Like, share it with your friends, subscribe for more fascinating content, and hit the bell icon to stay updated with our latest insight. Your interaction keeps us going and ensures you won't miss any important analysis.